Karen Baker. Welcome to this Altenew video blog hop that's taking place over YouTube. I am here today with a little card that is a little bit interactive. It's with the whole sort of vintage eclectic vibes going on with this release. I've just got some old-fashioned louver doors, and then we've got our sentiment on the inside, and we've got these absolutely gorgeous roller skates that I would love something like this when I was a teen. So we're using the sets from the release, the Vintage Vibe stamp set, along with the matching die set. Also just a number sentiment stamp set, the window slats embossing folder. You're going to need some glue and some inks, whatever inks for whatever colour scheme that you're choosing. And depending on what you're wanting to do as well, you might want to include the Vintage Vibe Simple Colouring Stencil, which is perfect to go with the Vintage Vibe set. So in order to make this, I've done one very simply with white. You could do something with like watercolour cardstock. Obviously you wouldn't necessarily have a white background with this, but this idea lends itself to a whole host of different ideas, whether you're putting pop-ups inside, you could put a little band with some money inside. You know, there's so many different ideas that could come out of this one very simple idea. So let's get started. So to get started, you're going to need the Vintage Vibes stamp set, which is new out for the Eclectic Vibes launch, and you're also going to need the Vintage Vibes die set. Sorry, you'll have to excuse this. My cat managed to get hold of it, so it fancied a little nibble in the corner. Yours will come perfectly. So we're going to be using the outline of the roller skate set. So this is a layered set. You can either create it in a plain fashion, because we've also got Vintage Vibes colouring stencil. So if you want to put multicolour ink or just a plain background to add the details over, you can do. I've done it using the floral. So if I show you, rather than stamping and boring you, I'm just going to show you the stages. So the first bit, and the beautiful thing about this is you can just make it super coloured with your favourite inks, whatever colour combination. You've got so many different elements to choose which colour that you're using. So you start off with this one, and then you could at this point stamp this one and you can create your rainbow skate, but we're going for the floral. So then you do this one here, and then you're just going to build the flower up. So you've got this this first layer, which you would use a lighter colour with, and you can see there's a slight straight edge, and that straight edge is going to go just in this little bit here. You've got the leaves, which you'll stamp. Obviously you've got a nice space there where it's fairly easy to line up the leaves, and then you've got the detail of the flower, and then you've got the base of the boot, and you've also got the wheels. So you can see so many opportunities to add colour and individually to your stamp. So once you've got your stamped images, they're going to look like this, because we need two of them. So what we need to do now is die cut them. So we've got our two lovely little skates, and then we're going to use the window slats embossing folder. So many lovely ways of using this, but when I saw this, I thought it just reminds me of old-fashioned louver doors, which kind of goes with the whole vintage vibes thing. So put it through my embossing folder, through my die cutting machine, and you end up with this. I mean, isn't it just so much lovely dimension? You can see that. Lots of plans I've got for using this folder, but all I needed to do was just cut it down so that I've got two little doors there. And so we're going to add a little bit of kind of a distressed look to it. You could do this with embossing powder, you could do this with cardstock if it's got a white core, you could sand it back to give it a little bit of a distressed old-fashioned look. I just thought I would just use ink. So if I clear these out the way, and I'll bring in some of the Altenew dye inks. Now these are older ones. If you've got them, you know that they've got the branding has been updated. Mine are old like me. So all we're going to do, really nice and simple, we're just going to just stroke the ink over, and it doesn't really matter, you're not going for perfection, you're just going for a slightly old, slightly distressed look. I've got quite a light touch while I'm doing this. If you go heavy-handed, you'll obviously get a lot more ink over it. You can see there's one. Just do the other one quickly. And then, you know, you can use different colours on this. This would be quite nice in blues, or you could actually add like a white or a light ink over a dark cardstock. So we've got our sort of basic little bits of distressed edges, and then if you want to make more of sort of a distressed look and add a bit more of dimension, go over with a slightly darker. So I've got Forest Glades here, so I'm just going to go over the edges because obviously the edges would look darker in this context. So let's just add a little bit of darker shading to both sides, and you can see I'm not taking much care. It's not something that needs any skill whatsoever to do. You're literally just gently stroking. There we go. So we're just stroking the ink pads over the doors as they are, and then we need to obviously make sure they are lined up so that the slats are matching up and going the same way. So now all we need to do is add a little handle. So I've used some of the new glitter cardstock. This one is the Forest Canopy glitter cardstock set, and there are 4 different colours, and they are really, really gorgeous. Let me show you. Wow, can you see that? The sparkle on them is amazing, and I've just chosen this colour, which is the Jadeite, which kind of goes with the colours I've used, and I've just cut out with a hole punch just some little circles, and that can act as the door handles. Obviously, if you've got brads or you wanted to use enamel dots or something like that, you could do that quite simply. Now, you can put them on both sides, but what I found was when I made this, that actually the boots are probably going to hide the second dot on this side, but I'll pop them on anyway. And I'm using my 2-in-1 precision glue pen, which is super, super useful because of the tiny point when you've got something like this to actually stick on. So just press it a little bit, the glue will come out, and then we'll pop the handle on. It doesn't really matter where you're going to put the handle. We're just giving the look of louver doors. We're not going for anything sort of incredibly realistic. There we go. So we'll put our 2 little handles on and just make sure that you line them up in the same place. Now we need to make them as folding doors, so we just need to score them. So whatever scoring tool you have, all you're going to do is pop them on, and I've just used 1/2 inch, but if you want to use less by all means. So just pop that on there and make sure that you actually score the right side of it, otherwise you're going to have a job opening it up properly. So we've got our 2 scored edges there. You can see there I actually didn't cut it perfectly precisely, but it doesn't matter because you're going for the look, and you're making a slightly interactive card which people love getting. So all we need to do now is add some adhesive to the reverse. Now you want something really, really strong. You could use this. This is going to stick, it's permanent, and it's also repositionable if you if you leave it and then keep removing it. The thing that I'm probably going to do, because it's going to have a lot of movement, is to just use a super strong tape. So I'm just going to use some red liner tape. So we're just going to pop some on, obviously, the side next to where the score is. I can find my scissors. If you're going to give it to somebody who you think is going to be heavy-handed, add 2 strips, or just use a thicker tape. Double-sided tape, any sort of double-sided tape is going to be fine for this. It just gives a little bit more security when you just know that they're going to be opened and shut and opened and shut. And of course, this design, although we've got the boots that are going to hang over the top of it, you could easily put a pop-up or something in there as well. So we've got our doors all ready to go. Now we need to add the boots. So we've got our boots here. So we need some twine. So I've got some twine that matches, and we just need to add the twine to the backs of the boots. Now, one of the boots is going to stick straight onto the door, and the other one I'm going to raise up. It just helps it look a little bit more dimensional by not having them both exactly the same. So if we just get one of the boots and we add some tape over it. We'll leave that stuck down there for the moment, because we're going to want to just make sure that we've got the right angle, so I don't want to take it off quite yet. And then we're going to add the other end of the twine onto the boot, but this time we're going to use foam pads or double-sided tape, however you use yours. So we're going to pop that on there. I'm just actually going to secure it under the foam pad, like that. Okay, so you can see I've just got that secured like that. And then you're going to pop it onto your door, and you're just going to work out how you actually want to position your boots. Okay, I think that's about right for that one. So we'll stick that one down first. So we'll take this tape off there, and we'll just run the glue all over. Obviously, I'm scribbling all over. You'll do a much more thorough, careful job. So we'll pop that on there, however you want to do it. And just make sure that if you are going to have it with some of the wheels sticking past the actual louver door, that you don't put, like I've done, glue on the back of it. So just keep that in mind. Now the other one, what we want to do is, the reason that I've done it like this is because I want to position it, because I'm going to position it at an angle, and I want to have an idea roughly of where the skate is going to be. And so I don't want to put foam pads where it's extending off the side of the door. So let's pop a few more foam pads on. You could, of course, secure this straight down. It doesn't really matter. It's just whatever is your preference. And I've got things sticking to me all over the place. So let's have it here. So I don't want to have foam pads past that point. So pop your foam pads on, and then just remove the backings. Try and do that quickly. It's not the most interesting thing in the world to watch. So pop that down, give that a really good press. And then just position however you think that your skate looks best. I reckon we're going for it like that. Okay, so we've got our skates, and the idea is with this that they're going to be hung over, just as if somebody had come in from the skating rink and just lashed them over the top of the louver door. So now what we need to do is take this And I've got somewhere, I've got a little piece of cardstock which has now gone missing. So I shall cut another one. Let me just get a little piece of card. Whenever you're making videos, you can be sure that something is going to go walkies when you least expect it, even though you've prepared the piece. So pop that on. So you're going to want to have a piece of card that is just a little bit smaller than the door. The reason we're doing this is because we want to actually put some adhesive, but because people are going to be opening up the doors, we want it to still look nice and neat. So we'll add a little bit more tape underneath the twine, because we don't really want it coming off when people actually have opened the card. Okay, so again, check the position of your strings, fold them over like that, and then just press them into the tape or whatever is your favorite adhesive. And then the reason I'm using this as well is because it's quite bulky. So sometimes using this kind of tape just helps. So you don't have to sit there holding on to the adhesive for a long time. So we'll put that over there, take that off, line it up nice and neatly. Okay, so we've got it hidden, and then you can just trim off. Okay, so when somebody opens it up, it's quite nice and neat. So all we need to do now is prepare the card base. So I've got a card base here. Now, to be honest with you, the sizes could be any size whatsoever. These, it doesn't matter what size the doors are. It's just a case of finding a base card that you want to use or make your own, and then just making sure that the louver doors actually fit to size. Obviously, you could do this with a multicolored piece of cardstock. You could do it with pattern paper behind. There's so many ways you could change this up, but I've just kept it nice and simple. If any of you are wanting to know what the size is for my card, it is nearly 4 3/4 by 6 inches. I tend to work in centimetres unless I'm sewing, which is about 11.5 by 15, just over 15. But again, it's whatever suits you. So before I actually put the doors on, because stamping is going to be much more difficult to do, once I've got that, all I need to do is get my sentiment. Sentiment I'm using is also in the Eclectic Vibes release, and this is just a number. It comes with a matching die set that cuts the happy birthday out, but that's going to be a little bit big for our doors. So I've chosen growing old is mandatory, growing up is optional, which kind of goes with the whole ice skates, roller skates vibe as well. So I'm going to stamp this with evergreen ink. Try and keep the colours all coordinated. So just lots of gentle tapping. Make sure we've inked up all of the letters. And then let's just line it up and try and get it roughly centered. Okay, just press. If any of you are not used to stamping, the number one goal is try not to move the mount that you've got the stamp on. Okay, so we've got our lovely sentiment there. So all we need to do now is pop the doors on. Obviously, just leave it a couple more seconds to dry. I'm doing this in a hurry. So let's just take the tape off. And then we're going to just pop them both on together when you're lining them up. And if you press down on this side, obviously you've not got glue on this part, so it means that you can just make sure that you're going to end up with it all looking nice and neat. There we go. So that's that side, and then we'll do the same for the other side. There are lots of ways of using this very, very simple idea. What you could also do is you could have the television going on the inside. So when it opened up, just give this a little bit of a fold, you could have the television. There's so many lovely sentiments in this set. So you could have the TV in the middle with some of the sentiments, or you could just have one of the sentiments from this set. But I love that sentiment, so I've just put it on there. So just again, fold it back to make sure that it is easily opened. And there you go. A nice, easy, simple set using the lovely Vintage Vibes layering set and the Just a Number. Hope you've enjoyed watching this. We look forward to seeing exactly what you're going to create with these sets. Can't wait to be inspired by you too. Thanks for watching. Bye.